Hi, it's Melinda from Green the Suburbs. I thought I'd treat you with a glorious sunrise before we get started today. Wow, right? I live here. Hey, do you remember a few weeks ago I asked you for a little bit of help in deciding what I was going to do for my spring project? I had three options for you to choose from. There was option one, which was doing a rain garden out in the front to capture the water that came off the roof. Option two was another water capture idea, that taking the water off of the driveway. And option three was expanding the food forest. Well, the results are in, and thanks to all of you who played along. And the winner is option three, expanding the food forest. I'm so excited to get started on this one because I've had some really fortunate developments in that area. If you'll remember, the food forest is back in the back of the yard, and I already have half of it that I've started on, and it's about a year old. And then the back half of it is behind a fence. My plan for the spring was to remove that fence, but after watching for a while, I discovered that the critters that are eating all the herbaceous plants in the front section of the food forest are not squirrels and gophers, they're my dogs. So until I decide what I'm going to do as far as containing them in towards the front of it, I think I'm going to leave that fence up for a little while, and I'll concentrate on another important part of the back section, which is developing this swale, and I'm going to do it using a technique called Hugelculture. Hugelkulture is a German word, and that's where it was developed. And it's basically the process of burying some wood and sticks and leaf litter and things under the dirt in a mound and planting on top of that. And it does several things for you. For one thing, it stabilizes the soil temperature, which isn't that important for us in California, but it's great for someone in a cool climate. It extends your growing season. For us, the rotting wood soaks up water just like a sponge, and it holds it there until the plants are ready to use it. So you don't have to water that area nearly as much. And the other thing that it does, it's basically a compost pile. So it's adding nutrients to your soil all the time as it rots down. My raised beds really weren't performing very well, and so I did this the next time I cleared them out. I buried some sticks and some mulch and leaf litter in there, and it seriously raised the productivity of them. And so I know that this is more than just concept. It actually does work. So just to give you an idea of the scale that we're working at, it's about 35 to 40 feet wide and maybe another 10 to 12 feet deep. So what I did is I had an old wood pile, and I just started lining up logs all along that outer edge. And then I got lucky. Mr. Moon came along with some really, really good dirt, and I had him just cover those logs and piled it up about 2 feet high. And so it's pretty flat in there, so the water will just slow spread and sink the way it's supposed to. And the terminal end of it, the lower end, is a banana circle. So once the water gets down there, the banana trees will just soak that right up. Now I'm going to plant it just full of peas and beans that I got at the 99-cent store for $4. Thank you very much. Pretty much anything that's a bean or a pea or a whole grain that's been dried and it hasn't been processed in any way, you can just go ahead and grow it. Just buy it at your produce market. If you can get it in bulk, that's great. Or like I did, at a discount store. I pre-soaked these in this thing called inoculant that you can buy at the garden store. And it's just a package. You mix it in with water and soak the beans in the water for a couple of hours, just enough that they can soak some of it up. And it's supposed to stimulate their growth and help them get off to a better start. So I did that, and now I'm just going to sprinkle them all over that mound and rake them in. I like to use the back end of a cultivator rake for this just because it moves it around without moving it too much, so you don't lose all of the distribution that you've already done. It just kind of levels it out a little bit more and covers some of them partially. Then I'll kind of tamp it down with the fork side of it, and then I'll cover it with a little, just a loose little layer of leaf litter. So now this gets watered every couple of days until it gets established. Oh, one word of advice for doing these. Prepare and plant it in as close to the same day as you can, because otherwise you end up with this, which is kind of a weedy prairie grass that's coming up and taking over. It does it every year, and the fire department makes us trim it off and carry it away. So I'm hoping not to have to do that this year. And you can see where I've done the hugel bed and covered it with mulch, it's not growing at all. On the back side of the bed, I'm hoping to sort of control by rampancy. I basically just raided my cabinet and I got some fennel seeds and some flax seeds and anything else that I could find and just threw it out there, and I've put a little bit of water, and hopefully I'll get some of that instead of the grass. As you see, the peas and bean mix that I've thrown out is starting to come up. It's not all up, but it comes up at a little bit different times. And that's all I'm showing you right now, because the front part of the food forest, I think, is going to be outrageous when spring gets in full bloom. So anyway, that is something that is coming.